It's so simple, but I don't know why more products don't have this.
In fact, can we just go from the top one more time? I think just a little softer if you can. Breathy, airy, atmospheric.
Hello, my name's Dan Keane. I'm a composer, producer and musician based in London, and I'm incredibly pleased to present Petrichor, my new sample library with fracture sounds. This is a soft woodwinds textures library formed of baritone, tenor and alto saxophone, bass clarinet and B-flat clarinet, and bass, alto and concert flute. This collection of instruments recorded in ensembles is a really beautiful way to add a little bit of life and texture to your music. From the very breathy, airy, soft dynamics to the slightly loud and proud sounds of the upper dynamics, we wanted this to be a soft library, but we also wanted to encapsulate lots of texture and timbral changes throughout the range as well. Because these instruments were recorded in ensembles, there was a really lovely interplay between the players, and I think once they understood what we were going for and inviting that little bit of creativity, it was really fun to see them bring these recordings to life. I didn't want this to be too experimental, too big. I just wanted this to be alive with every note so that you could play just one or two notes and it just feels like you're moving somewhere. I approach it very much as a composer and producer. I want to create a window into these sessions that we've had and present these samples in a natural and unencumbered way so that you just think, that's really inspiring, I want to get started straight away. To get there, we've gone through lots of experiments, sort of reverse engineering pieces that I have in my head and working out how to record those one note at a time. In preparation to record this sample library, we had a couple of R&D sessions. One with David, the saxophone player, and with Otto, who was a recorder player. Now, we intended to use the recorders in the final library, but we found that it didn't really blend with the other ensembles, but we didn't want to waste those recordings. So we've used those and we've presented them as a free blueprint library.
We've done a couple of R&D sessions recently, and I think the main thing I've taken away from that is that we need to be fairly experimental in our sound, but obviously that's sort of within the scope of it still being quite a kind of serene texture.
This library all begins with wisps, which is sort of the step on from soft string spurs. It's a natural, beautiful ebb and flow. We decided to record this as ensembles because I wanted to create not only a really beautiful blend within the room, but also for the players to hear each other and play off each other. And in the wisps, which is this very soft ebb and flow, I think you can really hear that, particularly in the softer dynamics. We've got 3 dynamic layers to choose from, and they range more timbrally than volume. I still wanted this to be a soft library, but the ratio between noise and fundamental note increases as you increase the mod wheel. It's that soft noise in the highlights that I absolutely adore. And even though there aren't any singers on this library, there's something very human about it because you've got that human breath passing through the instruments for every note.
A little more vibrato. Yeah, all of those kinds of disruption to the sound is really good, actually. Little things like that are really creative. I think because the bass clarinet is probably the one that is more stable in tone than the others, so it's good that we've got that in the center, and then the others can kind of weave around it.
I was a little bit nervous going into these recordings because I'm not a woodwind player at all. I was doing this mainly off the back of the success of my string library, Soft String Textures, that I released with Piano Book Artists last year. It was a really fun project to do, and I learned a lot of lessons about sampling and about scripting and contact. And I always wanted to take it to the next level and do more instruments in this style. But I'm so pleased that I decided to join forces with Fracture Sounds on this, because their developer team have been able to bring to life features that I just never thought would be possible.
All right, so we're going to be going into sporadic trills. I'm just going to load the project up on my side as well.
Do you want them quite slow though, or faster?
I think quite slow is nice, yeah. Yeah, like, again, sporadic trills is the wrong word because it's basically just like sporadic passing note.
Cool.
Side quest mode. Let's just pause there for a second. More page turning moment. I did the same in minor thirds and in major thirds as well. Now this is great, and this is as far as I could take it when I did my soft string textures library. But I put it to the team this time at Fracture Sounds and I said, I don't always want to think about the theory, I just want to play my keyboard. And they've done it, and I can't believe it.
When it comes to things like the Smart Trills, this is a feature that should have existed for years. I don't know why it hasn't, to be honest. I've seen lots of libraries in the past that use scale modes, and it's still quite complicated, and you have to know what key you're in or what key you're trying to go to. And I just wanted to remove all of that confusion and uncertainty. In this, you just play the notes that you want to play, and the samples really keep up.
And I love this, because under this beautiful UI, and under the presentation of this musical sound, it's effectively a big directory full of WAV files, and the fact that it can reference to these in such a musical way, and that you and I as performers can just think about the chords and the movement of the chords, it's a dream come true for me. You know, it enables me to play more musically.
So that's the Instinct Audio ribbons.
Oh yeah.
They sound good. The Sontronics.
God, that sounds nice. That's such a nice sound. It sounds great.
This library was recorded at Press Play, which is quite a small studio. This was quite a conscious decision for us because we found that in the types of music that we like to produce, either film music or for me more on my kind of pop and contemporary side of things, in both cases we tend to prefer drier libraries that we can add reverb to later.
You guys happy to start a tiny bit early?
Yeah.
Finish a tiny bit of it.
Exactly, David. I like your attitude. Early bird catches the worm.
That's what they say.
Second mouse gets the cheese. Now, I work on a lot of different projects, from musicals to films to album projects, pop arrangements through to much more filmic, cinematic music. And I use this in all of the projects at the moment because it actually works as a really beautiful glue between all the other elements you've got. Underneath all of the chaos and breathiness is a beautifully simple, fundamental sine wave adjacent tone. And to me, that's quite moving. That inspires me because it doesn't take up the entire frequency spectrum. It's not trying to be everything. It's saying I can do this particular set of sounds really, really well.
We're going to try and do 3 different types of shorts here, but in the short term, let's just try one, which is sort of a soft accent. It's sort of like a tenuto, I suppose. So if we're going to do it in 3 dynamics, but let's just try the bass one and have a kind of vibe. Again, 3. That's nice.
How short do you want it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like,
Yeah, that's nice. Nice rounded. Yeah, that's nice.
Soft accents is a really beautiful extension to the long articulations and varies the length of these notes based on how hard you're hitting them. So I'd think of them less like staccato or staccatissimo and more like soft tenutos or accents.
Now if I play that same chord progression a little harder, we get a longer feel. And I think that's quite musical because the way that I would play that as a chord, you can layer it in with your longs. Again, it's not supposed to be a rhythmic thing. It's more a gesture. It's an arrival.
Do you want us to tongue the second bar of these? Because
Yes, the second bar, but not the third bar.
yeah.
Within the library, we also recorded swells, which I think are quite important. They go up for a bar, they come down for a bar, and then they settle for a bar. We recorded these at two tempos, 90 BPM and 120 BPM, and you can access tempo synced swells within the alt articulations, which makes it a lot easier to use within your compositions.
Okay, let's give this a go. Click from 3, please.
Now, to me, this is really musical. This is how I would typically play a swell. And the way that I was conducting the players, I didn't want it to be really strong, really loud. I just wanted it to come up more timbrally than anything else. So we spent a long time talking about, you know, how to get a little more focus in the sound. It's not so much getting really loud and really quiet. It's more, how can we take that sound from being sort of 20% note and 80% noise and making that a stronger ratio of note to noise. You know, when you're working on a project with a really small number of players, you get to know their sound really well. And when I hear this, I can see the players, I can see the room that we recorded it in. And you really get to know that personality. I mean, I definitely got that last year with my string library. Every time I take this violin out, I just think, that's my friend Ellie, you know. And when I hear that then in other people's projects and stuff, it's really moving. It brings it to life in a very personal way, which I'm really, really proud of. So in a similar way to other Fracture Sounds projects, we've got our raw layers, and then we've also got atmospheres. And I made these myself. Some of these have been created from the samples that I've mangled in a few different ways. Some of the sounds are more your go-tos, your synth pad, your slightly brighter sounds, not trying to be influenced too much by the Junos or the Jupiters, but being aware of their presence within our music world. And then I've got Sign Plus, which for people who've been watching this channel for a while will know that this is the sound that I go to very often as a slightly extra bit of underbass. That has some skullduggery under the hood baked in. So I'm really glad to have that there because it helps just to reinforce things a bit. Scary, you've got scary.
Towards the end, we had a little bit of free time to record some multiphonics, and I'm really glad we recorded these. Even though they were really distorted and quite aggressive to begin with, I wasn't quite sure how we were going to fit this in with these beautiful, serene recordings. But within the Wild Wisps patch, within the main articulations, it's really nice to be able to extend that mod wheel beyond sort of 85, 90%, and you bring out this chaos. I'm really glad we've got that there. I'm really proud of this library, and I'm also really excited to hear what you do with it as well.
Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you again very, very soon. Goodbye.